The Colorado River is the lifeline of the Southwest, running 1,500 miles and supplying water and electricity to 7 states, with over 40 million people relying on the river's resources. In August of 2021, officials declared a Tier 1 water shortage for the first time ever, meaning that 30% of water usage from the Colorado must be reduced. In 2019, a drought contingency agreement was made between the states who use the river and was set to expire in 7 years.
With 2026 rapidly approaching, the states are scrambling to find solutions to the serious water shortage crisis. Water rationing is becoming a new reality for the West, especially the Southwest, as the nation hits an all-time high for drought severity. Some water cuts have been made, but the threat of cutting down more water if they did not come up with a solution went away, meaning that the problem will continue to get worse. The 2 UN Sustainable Development Goals that are focal points for the problem are 6, clean water and sanitation, and 7, affordable and clean energy.
The basin states surrounding the Colorado River and worsening climate change is the root of the problem. States overusing their allocated water supply has led to water reservoirs only containing 30% of the water that they are meant to hold. Climate change has caused a drought, thus causing poor snow runoff, which has led to 20 years of worsening conditions for the Colorado River. What's worse is that the states have an inability to effectively negotiate, since each state is focused on looking out for themselves. Over the course of 7 years, states have bickered until they found a solution that would only last 6 years.
The drought has left 40 million individuals across 7 states in danger of having their water supply greatly restricted. In addition, agricultural systems in the Basin states, namely in California, are already suffering the effects of the drought, resulting in extensive reductions in usable farmland to compensate. In response to the growing issue, states have begun to limit the energy and water allocated to each household, and some states are even going as far as preventing the use of rain barrels. The river has dropped a staggering 20% in water level in the last few decades, and is expected to continue to drop exponentially if actions are not taken to limit water consumption.
As the Colorado River's water levels have been depleted, more and more people have been forced to consider what problems they will be facing in the absence of adequate water supply.
One of them becomes a risk or a scarcity scenario. I do believe that there would be tremendous social fallout associated with this, where people that were either food insecure, water insecure, would sadly have to flee to areas that might otherwise have a greater protection around that environment.
Native Americans living in the Southwest are heavily affected by the changes in the Colorado River levels. They have only recently made progress in getting adequate access to water from the Colorado River. Now, with the water levels decreasing, their newly gained access to water is being jeopardized in the face of possible renegotiation of water allotments. Native Americans could be facing another few years in court struggling to receive full access to the water granted to them. Another group highly impacted by lowering water levels are farmers. Farmers are the main consumers of water from the Colorado River. As the river levels have been depleted, many farmers have had to make changes in the crops they grow in order to lower water consumption. This change in crops could affect the U.S. at large, as farming in the West is one of the main sources of crops, such as lettuce during the winter months. Along with crop changes, farmers are also facing the possibility of losing access to adequate water to support their practices. Those with lower prioritization may worry that they may soon lose access to their water allocations.
The Colorado River supports $1.4 trillion in annual economic activity and 16 million jobs in California, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming. If just 10% of the river's water were unavailable for people, we would see a loss of $143 billion in economic activity and 1.6 million in jobs in just 1 year. Cities are having to take drastic changes to cut down on the amount of water they are using. For example, Phoenix charges 28% more for water in the summer to discourage lawns and water usage. Tourism is a major economic market that is being heavily hit by the loss of water in the river. Many small-town economies in the Southwest rely on recreation to fund their communities. For example, in Colorado, the tourism and outdoor recreation economy tied to the river brings in more than $9 billion annually.
As that snowpack lessens up in the mountains, your season gets shorter and shorter. Those companies aren't going to be able to survive, and as they fold, you've got more unemployment. You've got towns that are losing their tourist dollars. So, economically, recreationally, it's not good.
Another factor that is becoming more and more in danger is farming. Many of the farms in these regions supply food such as lettuce that we take for granted year-round. Without these farms, we will be unable to support the required needs of many agricultural products. This would be a major economic loss to not just the surrounding regions, but to the United States and some parts of the world.